Ken Cuccinelli testified before a federal grand jury in D.C. on Thursday that circumstances seem to indicate that he is involved in the current investigation under special counsel Jack Smith. Smith resumed the investigation of Justice Department documents that implicate former President Trump and his view on political plans around Trump after the 2020 presidential election, supporting his bid to stay in office. Cuccinelli held several positions at the Department of Homeland Security during the Trump administration and was considered by Donald Trump for a special advisor as the then president and his team tried to create some sort of deal. Election fraud. Also responsible for such a project is attorney Sidney Powell, who published a series of hilarious secret opinions about the last presidential election and is now on trial for defamation. Cuccinelli has also been involved in discussions within the Trump administration about the tools used by Dominion voting systems in the 2020 election. Taking control of the 2020 election was among the ideas circulating around Trump at the time, with members and former staffer Michael Flynn proposing to involve the military in manipulating parts of the election. Cuccinelli reportedly concluded that his district did not have the authority to hold voting machines. One of the specific instances where such an idea was discussed was an hour-long meeting at the White House in December 2020, shortly before Trump sent his offensive tweet urging his supporters to come out to Washington, D.C., January 6. Pat Cipollone, a White House counsel, was present at least part of the meeting and testified before a House committee that investigated the Capitol riots that there was no legal basis for the riots. Should the federal government take over the voting machines? It's a terrible idea for the city, Cipollone told investigators. That's not how we do things in the United States. There is no legal right to do so, and there is a way to run for office. Cuccinelli reportedly responded that he did not know what he would be questioned about before a federal grand jury on Thursday, and that it was unclear whether he had received a warrant in the investigation or was testifying voluntarily. In other news related to some of those who face consequences for their actions, the California State Bar this week announced the indictment of attorney John Eastman, who has been closely associated with Trump in his efforts annul the results of the presidential election 2020. One state. The media highlighted Eastman's false reporting, which a credible investigation of the circumstances would prove to be false. The prosecutor in charge of the case will seek to disbar Eastman, which, if approved by the Special Court for Discipline of California Attorneys, will also require the approval of the Supreme Court of the State of California.